The natural world whispers secrets. We strain to hear, but our senses are dull. What if plants could talk? What if they could feel? What if they knew our thoughts? These are not questions for a fairy tale. These are the questions that consumed Cleve Backster. In the quiet solitude of his laboratory, he embarked on a journey to unravel one of nature's most perplexing mysteries, the secret life of plants.
As of 14 minutes along in that initial observation in the morning of February 2nd, 1966, my life just hasn't been the same.
Cleve Backster wasn't your typical scientist. He wasn't cloistered in an ivory tower. In fact, he wasn't a scientist at all. He was a man of action. It would be more accurate to describe Backster as a polygraph expert who founded the CIA's polygraph unit shortly after World War II. As such, Backster had spent years reading the silent language of the human body and could detect lies with uncanny accuracy. He understood the subtle cues of human emotion, but his true fascination lay elsewhere. Baxter was drawn to the unknown, to the whispers of the natural world. Baxter's journey began with a simple question. Could he measure the electrical impulses of a plant? On a whim, he hooked up his lie detector to the leaf of a common houseplant. What happened next would change his life forever. February 2nd, 1966, started like any other day in Baxter's New York lab. He had his coffee, his plants, and his polygraph machine. But this day would be anything but ordinary. As he stared at the Dracaena, an idea sparked. What would happen if he threatened the plant? Maybe dip a leaf into scalding coffee? Would it register a response? Baxter thought about burning the leaf that was connected to the polygraph. He didn't actually burn it. He merely thought about it. At that moment, the polygraph needle jumped. According to Baxter, the plant showed a strong reaction on the polygraph at the exact moment he had this thought.
But the interesting thing is that right at the split second that imagery, the fire, entered my mind, the tracing reflecting the changes in the plant just went right off the top of the page. And the only thing that occurred at that time, no lighting of a match, nothing else, merely the imagery of fire.
It was as if the plant had read his mind. Baxter was stunned. Could plants feel emotions? Could they sense danger? The implications were staggering. Baxter had stumbled upon something profound, something that challenged our understanding of life itself. Plants, it seemed, were not passive bystanders. They were aware. They were responsive. They were listening. News of Baxter's discovery spread like wildfire. Skeptics scoffed, but Baxter pressed on. He designed a series of experiments to silence his critics. One of his most compelling experiments involved a plant called Dracaena marginata, commonly known as a dragon tree. Baxter wanted to test if the plant would react to the death of another living organism. He dropped brine shrimp into boiling water, carefully timing the deaths. Simultaneously, he monitored the electrical activity of the plant. The results were astonishing. Each time the shrimp died, the plant registered a surge of electrical activity as if it were mourning the loss of life. This experiment, Baxter believed, provided further evidence of a hidden network of communication in the natural world. Baxter's curiosity knew no bounds. He wondered if plants could distinguish between different types of threats. To test this, he devised another experiment using brine shrimp. This time, he set up an automated system where brine shrimp were randomly dumped into boiling water. The twist? Baxter connected a plant to a polygraph machine in one room, while in another room, he set up a machine that would randomly dump brine shrimp into boiling water. Both setups were completely isolated from one another. The plant, Baxter hypothesized, would only react when it sensed a genuine threat to others' well-being. The results were intriguing. The plant did not just react to the random deaths of the brine shrimp, but showed reactions at the exact moments when the shrimp were dropped into boiling water. Baxter interpreted this as the plant sensing the death of the shrimp at a distance. To him, the implications was evidence of a form of universal consciousness or interconnectedness between living things. Baxter's experiments extended beyond the confines of his lab. He traveled the country, demonstrating the apparent sentience of plants to captivated audiences. Over the next few decades, he conducted numerous experiments to explore this phenomenon, such as the distance test, in which Baxter found that plants still reacted to his thoughts even when he was miles away, and the yogurt bacteria test, where he even claimed that bacteria in yogurt could react to human attention. His work, while controversial, captured the public imagination. People began talking to their plants, playing them music, even apologizing for forgetting to water them. Baxter had tapped into a deep-seated human desire to connect with nature in a more profound way. However, not everyone was convinced. The scientific community remained skeptical. They argued that Baxter's experiments lacked proper controls and that his results were not reproducible. They pointed out that plants lack a nervous system, the biological basis for consciousness and sentience. The electrical impulses Baxter observed, they argued, were simply natural fluctuations in the plant's physiology. Despite the criticism, Baxter remained undeterred. He continued his research, publishing his findings in books and journals. He believed he had uncovered a fundamental truth about the interconnectedness of all living things, a truth that traditional science was too narrow-minded to accept. A New Age guru. While the scientific community debated the validity of Baxter's claims, his work found a receptive audience in the burgeoning New Age movement. His ideas resonated with those seeking alternative explanations for the mysteries of consciousness in the universe. Baxter became a cult hero, his book selling millions of copies. He lectured widely, inspiring a generation to view plants with newfound respect and wonder. His work, though lacking in scientific rigor, sparked a global conversation about our relationship with the natural world and the possibility of plant consciousness. The Legacy of a Plant Whisperer. Cleve Baxter passed away in 2013, his legacy shrouded in controversy. While his experiments failed to convince mainstream science, They left an undeniable mark on popular culture. His work continues to inspire artists, writers, and musicians. Today, the scientific community is taking a fresh look at plant communication and behavior. While they haven't found evidence of consciousness, they are discovering that plants are far more complex and interconnected than previously thought. Plants communicate through intricate networks of roots and fungi, sharing resources and warning each other of danger. They respond to their environment with surprising sophistication. Perhaps Backster was onto something. Perhaps there are still secrets hidden within the verdant depths of the plant kingdom, waiting to be discovered. Perhaps, just perhaps, the earth whispers, and we need only learn how to listen.